everybody, Bandit here. Welcome back to the Bandit Flight Simmer channel. It's been a long time. I'm back in the CJ4 and I'm going to do a quick flight here in California. We're in Van Nuys Airport and I'm going to do a flight down to San Diego. Happy Thanksgiving to all American watchers. Hope you're having a great holiday. And here we're in the States doing a quick flight in California. So I'm going to do it on VATSIM. There's no ATC here at Van Nuys, but I think there is down in San Diego, so we'll go with that. It's going to be a quick flight. I'm going to do the whole thing, unedited, right from start to finish, and shouldn't be too long in the cruise portion, so should be able to see a lot of the features of the CJ4 here. It's the latest version from Working Title 12.10, and without further ado, let's hop in the cockpit and get things going. Okay, so I'm on battery power and external power is connected, and that's all I've done so far. If you want to know how to connect external power, you just go to the index here and you go to the next page, and under mod set you have external power, ground power unit on or off, and you can just turn it off here or on. And if you go to the next page, this is where you can set all your METAR sources. I have Microsoft Flight Simulator, you have ATIS source, FAA, or VATSIM. Actually, I might as well put it over to VATSIM since we're on that. And data link, instant. You can do all your settings up here for your weather sources. So that's done. And let's get our aircraft initialized. So we'll go to the flight plan page. Sorry, the index page, and we'll go to initial position. So we have to set our initial position, and that's done. And now we'll load up our flight plan. So it's just a quick flight plan. We are starting off in Van Nuys, which is Kilo, Victor, November, Yankee. We're going to San Diego, Kilo, Sierra, Alpha, November. And might as well load in the departure. So we're going to be doing the Adam 3 off of 34 left. Can execute that for now. And we look in the legs page and just see we have runway heading and left turn to 253 at above 1200 feet, and then radar vectors, and that's what we have here. And then our next is going to be LMOD and Adam are the only two waypoints, so that looks good. So we'll go back to our flight plan and we'll go to the next page. And we might as well load up our arrival, which is going to be the COMX2 in San Diego. So we'll put that in. There's no immediate waypoints in between, so we'll just load up the two. So the COMX2, and here I'll just show you here little thing here. So we're going from our departure and we're going the COMX2, but we're going to pick it up at Lejeune here. So you need to load a fix here, and any one of these fixes, it shouldn't matter which ones we load, Hulk or LAX or Catalina. They all have transitioned to Lejeune, so it shouldn't really matter which one we load, and we're just going to clean up the flight plan. So I'll just load the Hulk arrival, and we're planning the localizer for 27, and we might as well throw Lindy in so we have all the fixes available for the arrival. We'll execute that. So in our flight plan, which I ran on SimBrief, we are going to be going from LMOD to Adam, and that's the end of the departure. And then we don't want to go to Hulk, we want to go to
this is United Nights. This is no.
Our first
this
is Lejeune.
Concord, November 1979. Going to depart runway 25 right. Engine failure. Folks.
So if I bring Lejeune,
start back at terminal here. So
and put it below Adam, there, that would be our route that we're going to be flying, and we'll execute that. Okay, so that's our flight plan all loaded in, and I might as well compare the altitude. So we got Legend between 15 and 19, Comox between 12 and 15, and then Lantern 9 or above, and Xmas 7 or above, and Clown 6 hard at 6, and 8 odd hard at 6. So that looks good, and then vectors from there. So we'll look at the approach a little further down. So that's all set to go. So now we go to our perfinit, and we'll put in our perfinit data. So we're going to be going at flight level 210, and that looks good. We get our takeoff data, and I'm just going to get the weather METAR data from here. So we are wind 020 at 10. And temperature is 27. And the altimeter is 3004. Okay, you hit the next page and you can send that information up to your PFD for our V speeds there. So that's all sent. Go back to the legs page. And set altimeter 3004. So for the departure, it says altitude assigned by ATC. We have no ATC departing out of Van Nuys, so I'm just going to put in our top altitude of 21,000 feet for our cruise. And for our squawk, I will just put in 2,000, which is uncontrolled IFR above 18. So we'll tune that, and I'll put in 2,000. And that's ready to go. Okay, so again, I'll just brief the departure. So we're going to take off on runway heading above 1,200 feet. So for 3-4, climbing left turn heading 253 for radar vectors to VNY 095 to Adam. So the airway is 095 to Adam with LMOD there. So we're going to just give ourselves radar vectors. So we'll start off on that heading, and then we'll do a left turn and we'll intercept the outbound track and climb up to 210. And we should get some ATC before we get to San Diego. Okay, so I think everything is ready to go. So we'll turn on our nav light and we'll get the engine started. So I got the battery on, avionics is on, we'll turn our display on, arm the emergency exit lights, put on our climate control, and I'll hit the starter and we'll start the right engine. Watching our T's and P's come up. It's a nice FADEC automatic start, so you really don't have to do anything. You don't have to add fuel. It's just all automatic. Beautiful weather here in California today. Just back in the legs page. So the 1,200 feet isn't coded, but that's about 400 feet above elevation. So that's normally when you would make these turns.
Okay, ground. This is Concord, November 1979. Figured out the problem we was having with that fourth engine. We're now entering the taxiway, taxiing via Charlie Bravo back to 25 right for departure. Immediate departure from Concord, November 1979.
Okay, so we're looking good. T's and P's are looking good. Start is good. So we'll start the left engine. So runway heading is 344. I might as well throw that in. Our initial heading. go in and we'll disconnect our ground power. So index, next page, mod set, ground power off. And the engine's still warming up nicely. Okay, we have a good start. Temperatures and pressures are all good. We got lots of fuel for the trip. Altimeter is set. And we'll set our flaps for takeoff. Have our V speed set. Brief the departure. And we are going to taxi out. Just make a broadcast, so we're just going to head out to, so just to the right we'll pick up that line and we're heading out this way, I think. Okay, so I'll get our taxi light on and release our parking brake, a little bit of power. Should have parked at the south end of the field. So we got a little bit of a taxi to go. And I'll just make a PA that we're taxiing out. Van Nuys traffic, it's citation November 456 Alpha Zulu is taxiing from the northwest hangars Alpha 2 Alpha Hold Short 34 Van Nuys. Okay, we're going to come up here, make a right turn onto Alpha. Taxi down to the end of the road here. Okay, while we're taxiing, we'll just have a quick look at our setup. So flaps are at 15, so takeoff. We have our altitude set. I'll hit toggle when we go out to the runway. Turn our pitot heat on. And temperatures and pressures are all looking good. We're in nav mode right now. I'm going to leave that set up for now, and then I'll engage heading select when I select the autopilot, because we're initially going to be flying headings. So Van Nuys is a really popular airport in California for private jets. It's a fairly busy little airport. And I downloaded the scenery for San Diego, so we should have good scenery in San Diego there. Lots of great sales on right now with Black Friday going on in the US, so there's tons of scenery for sale on the marketplace and various other websites like Warbex and stuff, so I picked up a few sceneries there. So I'll showcase those in my next few flights other than my Round the World series, which are out of Japan next. If you like this type of content, appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button, helps out the channel. And if you'd like to see this type of content or more videos like this or my Round the World series in the DA62, make sure you subscribe for the channel and sign up for notifications. And then you'll see when those videos come out. I try to do one a week. Sometimes life gets in the way, but when it doesn't, I try to put out one a week. Kind of alternating between these type of flights and my Round the World series in the Diamond DA62. Okay, everything looks good. Don't see any traffic and no reports of traffic, so Should be able to enter the runway here and head right on out. So I'll get the landing light on, taxi light off, strobe light on.
Please. The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a quick look to the right. Don't see any traffic. It's clear to the left. So I think we're ready to go. We got landing light is on and strobe light is on. Flaps are set for takeoff. Everything looks good. We'll just make a report. Van Nuys traffic citation 456 Alpha Zulu. Entering runway 34 for northbound departure on the Adam 3 to flight level 210 Van Nuys. Okay, so we'll head out to the runway. Last thing I need to do is turn on my transponder. So I'll hit Toga, go to transponder, Alt on, and I think we're ready to go. Go full power. These are good. Rotate. Positive rate. Gears up. And I'll go autopilot on. Flight level change. Bring the speed up. 200. Go heading select. And heading 344, and that's a left turn to heading 253. And speed is good, flaps up. So quick boats takeoff, gear is up, flaps are up. Set climb power. There's climb power set. And we are on our left turn, so I will just make a continue left turn around radar vectors to intercept our outbound track. And I might as well put up the lower menu and put down my present position. And got that set up. Range out. We're going to have to come back around 180 to intercept that track, so keep the climb going. And there's a flight plan discontinuity. And once we get lined up with, because we're on radar vectors, after we go past the vector point, we get a discontinuity message there. So I will just clear that. We'll go direct to our initial point there once we get kind of lined up there. I don't think I can clear that discontinuity message until we actually clear up the discontinuity by going direct to, so I'll just keep going in that general direction, and then we'll go direct to it once we get lined up. Okay, coming up to 10,000 feet, we'll get our landing light off. Climb is set, T's and P's are looking good. And now I will select direct to L mod. I'll execute that. And I'll engage nav. And now we're autopilot, flight level change, and I'll increase my speed now up to about 240 knots. climb going, and we're LNAV is armed. We're active. And looking good. So let's hop outside and take a look at nice LA scenery here. Los Angeles right over there. LAX should be just in here, so there's LAX right there. I think, no, hold on, LAX is right over here. We're going to be heading down the coast to San Diego. Beautiful clear day, just a little bit hazy. Keeping the climb going there. Now this is a short trip. You're already going to see if I scale out here that our top of descent is not very far on the route here. Okay, coming up on transition altitude, so I'll set standard barrel 2992. Another thing we can do is get our chart loaded up here with our arrival. Go lower menu, and I can put our arrival in here. Select that. And there's our arrival for when we get a little bit closer to the gen, which is our initial fix there. So I'm just going to move that over here. I prefer in dark mode, and it took me a while to figure this out. I hadn't flown the CJ in a while, but to get it in dark mode, you just reduce your lighting, dim your lighting down off of bright or daylight, and then it puts it in
altitude.
Dark mode. So 1,000 feet to go. Let's go finicky this button here. Okay, there we go. So we're going to be heading to the gen eventually. And what I can do is I can change my format up here, put my map mode up here as well. So level at 210, letting the speed build up. And we're looking good. Okay, I don't see any ATC online yet, so we might be ATC-less for the whole trip here. I'm going to bring my power back now to cruise. Set about 90%. Speed get too fast. That's pretty good. Okay, so temperatures, pressures are looking good. Landing light is off. And cruise portion. So the arrival. So I'll bring up the chart on here to show the arrival a little bit better. So we're going directly to the Gen, and those are the altitudes between 15 and 19, COMEX between 12 and 5, and then Lantern is at 9 or above, max 230, Xmas at 7 or above, Clome at 210, 6,000, and NADOD at 6,000, and then it's a vector for the downward. So that's the arrival we're going to be doing. We can follow along here, and the plane will show up on the approach plate when we get there. So we're just transitioning now to our next fix on the departure. Good, and then we're off to our first fix on our arrival. And the top of descent starts before we get there because we have to be at or below 190, and we're at 210, so it'll start our descent before we get there. Okay, so a nice short cruise here. While we're doing this, I might as well brief the approach. So the approach that we're going to be doing is the localizer. They don't have an ILS because you're coming in over the hill in San Diego. The ILS is only if you're landing the other way. So they have a localizer approach. and it's a bit steep, 3.5 degrees if you're doing gradient path, but we're just going to be doing a step down approach here. So we have our frequency. We're going to have a tuning bound course is 275. We're going to cross the FAF at 2,000 feet, which is Rebo, down to minimums of 680, and I'll round that up to 700 feet. Field elevation is 17 feet. The venomous approach is pretty easy. It's straight ahead, 2,500 feet, heading 275 outbound to the Cade intersection. And so we can do that straight ahead if we need to. It's visual though, so it's just going to be a visual approach backed up by this. I loaded it by Lindy because if you just load the approach without it, all you do is get these two fixes here. Sometimes just for reference, it's nice to have these in your flight plan as well, in case ATC decides to send you there. So we may or may not need them, but they're nice to have. So we have Lindy, Vida, Okan, Chihai, and Rebo, and that's it. And we've got those step down altitudes all the way in. So it's going to be radar vectors downwind, and then we'll vector ourselves onto final if ATC is not available. So that's going to be the approach we're going to be doing. Speed's good. We made the turn at Adam. Now we're going to Lejeune, and we're only 25 miles from our descent. And yeah, I don't believe there is any ATC online right now. Let's look. Nope, I don't see any ATC online right now. But that could change. I'll see if we can get our ATIS for, if that's still available. So to get ATIS, you go down to your index, go to your database, and you got weather and ATIS. So we'll put ATIS, we'll have to put KSAN. Hit send, and see if it's available. Nope, ATIS unavailable for. So that's because we're using the VAT sim and it's not available. Now we can actually go to the index and go to the next page and go to our mod set features, page 2, and we can put it back to the source for the FAA. And FAA works in the States, so you can get ATIS at all major airports in the States. And if I go back to index, go to data link, ATIS, and then we try send it again. We might actually get it. So San Diego ATIS, 2153, winds 310 at 10 gusts and 15, 10 miles, just some scattered cloud, 22 degrees, 3002. Okay, so we can put that into our landing data. So just gonna write that down so we have it. Winds are 310, 10 gusting 15. 22 degrees, 3002. So now if I go to my perf page and I go to approach and I put 310, and I'm just going to put 15, which is the stronger wind, 22, 30.02. And then we go to the next page, and then we're going to be landing on runway 27. It's 9,300, almost 9,400 feet. That's all the data. We go to the next page. Now we can send that to our PFD, and that should be there when we need it for the approach. Okay, we're coming up to our top of descent. So now, when you get cleared for the approach, so you're going to be doing descend via is going to be your likely clearance. So you're going to be clear the COMEX 2 arrival, descend via the COMEX 2. So it's 6,000 feet is the altitude we're going to want to put into our altitude selector. And so that's 6,000 feet, and then we can arm VNAV. And then when we get by our top of descent there, and you can see we're approaching on the map here into Lejeune there. So when we get that top of descent, we should go into, so V path is active, and we should transition to the path. And you can see it's targeting just over 2,000 feet per minute descent, and 15,000 is our first altitude restriction. Now it only shows the bottom altitude restriction, and so you're going to see that all the way in change as we go by each point. So we will start our descent here momentarily. So descent checklist. Temperatures, pressures are good, fuel is good. Landing lights off for now, and we have our approach loaded. Altimeter 3002 when we need it. I think we're ready to go. So just as we come up to that top of descent, we should see VPath activate, and then we'll bring the throttles back and do our descent. Now with this aircraft, the CJ4, there is no auto throttle, so we're going to have to control the speed, and you can see our path coming in now. So I need to slow down to 230 knots by lantern here, and I'll have to control that myself with the power. So initially I'll set about 60% for the descent, and then I'll bring it back more and use the speed brake to slow down if I need to make that speed restriction. So 60, that's pretty good there, that's close enough. Descent's going, so just want to watch my speed trend that it's not increasing. And we're going to check that we're going to cross all these altitudes as we head in, so we can zoom in. So Legend's our first one between flight level 190 and 15,000 feet, so it looks like we're going to be no problem for that. And the speed, I want to start slowly bringing it back a little bit, so I'll set 50%. And you can see the speed trend vector is slowly going to taper off some of that speed, because I don't want to have too much speed to lose when I get to lantern there, because I need to be at 230 knots. It's too bad we lost the ATC for San Diego. It would be nice to have that on the way in. Okay, coming up on our transition, I'm going to set the altimeter to 3002. And then at Legend, we're between at pretty much 180, so that's right in that window. And next is going to be between 15 and 12, and you can see it's changed to 12,000 for our next altitude crossing at Comex, or Lantern there. Sorry, Comex. A little bit above the path. I'm going to bring back the power a little bit more, 45. Let's bleed off some of that speed. Now when I put the landing lights on, you'll hear the seatbelt announcement too. I just mapped the seatbelt sign to the landing lights on a switch on my throttle as well. So when I turn that on, it also maps the seatbelt sign on this aircraft. Beautiful day here in California. Heading bug. So Comex, we need to be between 12 and 15, so that's looking pretty good. Slowly letting the speed bleed off. Our next restriction is going to be at Lantern, which is 9 or above, max 230 knots. And we want to be below 250 before we get to 10. Okay, I'll bring the power back a little bit more just so we can bleed off that little bit of extra speed. Now for the approach, I'm going to put in my frequency for the localizer. And it's 110.9, so it's automatically put that in. So it might make the transition, but if I can switch it if I need to. So that is set up, ready to go. Next page here. Okay, we're below 250 knots, that's looking good on the speed. I'm going to get down to 230 by the time we hit lantern here, so I'll bring the power back just a little bit more. Lead off that little bit of extra airspeed. It's amazing scenery flying in California here. Beautiful mountains in the background, nice shoreline. Okay, we're coming up on 10,000 feet. Put the landing light on.
May I have your attention, please? The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you.
So speed is good. It's within 10 knots, so that's looking good. That lantern. Just bring back the power a little bit more. And our next restriction is 6,210 at Clone, which is just past Xmas there. And Xmas is 7 or above, but we want to be Clone at 6,000. Okay, there's Miramar Air Base. That's one of the new airports they added in with the latest update there, and you can see all the fighters parked there. It's a good place to go pick up your F-18 and take it for a spin. Fightertown, USA, or where the Top Gun was located. It's kind of cool. Did one flight in the F-18. It was a lot of fun. Okay, speed is still good. We want to be 210 at Clone. Still got a ways to go for that. We're definitely going to be 7 or above at Xmas there. Pretty quiet on the radio. Not a lot of people flying today. Maybe everyone in the States is enjoying their turkey day. I'm going to bring the power back a little bit more so we can slow down for our next waypoint. And I'll just make a PA that we're joining downwind on the arrival for San Diego. San Diego traffic, its citation November 456 Alpha Zulu is 8,000 feet downwind on the arrival for runway 27 San Diego. Okay, speed is coming back. Okay, speed's coming back. Going to be pretty close to 210 when we hit clone here. At 6,000 is looking good based on our banana bar.
Altitude.
And then once we get past NADOT here, it's going to be radar vectors heading 095. And I'll just transition to heading 095 for radar vectors. So I'll set the heading up. 095 is ready to go. Speed is 210. And we'll just bring the power back up a little bit as we level off here so we can keep that speed. And so NADOT, we're going to be at 6 as well, and then the vectors from there. So watch the altitude. So now I'm going to switch plates here. So I'll go lower menu, cursor to the localizer plate, and we'll put that up. And you can see we're downwind. And keep the speed, power up, keep the speed up. And when we go by NADOT, I'll put it in heading select, and then we'll just vector ourselves onto final. Remember I said before the CJ was one of the best modeled planes in terms of using the FMS. It still is really good. The new G1000 NXI is becoming very solid as well. I'm flying that quite a bit and it performs very well. Okay, going by NADOT, and I'm going to go into heading select. And I'm going to switch now my nav source to the localizer, and we'll put in our course of 275. So we're downwind, heading, and altitude. So I'm going to close off the VNAV because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to descend to 5,000 feet.
Altitude.
And we'll use vertical speed to get ourselves down. Bring the power back a little bit. And 5,000 feet is the altitude at Lindy, so I'll maintain that initially till we get ourselves on final, and then we'll start our step downs from there. So we're just coming up to Lindy, or being Lindy. I'm going to turn to base leg, and I'll start bringing the speed back to 200 knots. So for the arrival, for the approach, we're just going to do the step down altitudes based on the DME. So every fix is a DME, 6.5, 8.7. So we're going to step down, so we're going to go down to 4,000, and then we're going to go down to 36, 27, 2,000, and then down to our minimums. So there's 5,000. We'll let the speed bleed off as we level off. A turn to intercept, and then I'll arm nav once the track bar starts coming in for the localizer. Track the localizer. Okay, speed below 200. There's, I'm going to hit nav now. And we'll track the localizer inbound. We'll overshoot it a little bit here. We'll re-intercept. And I'm going to put my first notch of flat down. And there we go. So we're tracking the localizer inbound. Nav is now active, and we're L-hold. And based on our DME, we can descend down to 4,000 feet. So 4,000. Vertical speed it down. So inside 14, we can go down to 3,600 feet. So I'll put 3,600 feet. And I'm going to put the gear down. You can see the airport right there. San Diego traffic at citation 456 Alpha Zulu is 10 miles final for runway 27 San Diego. Okay, so we're looking at inside 12 miles. We can go down to 2,700 feet. So put all that altitude down. We'll just keep the descent going here. Light is on, so gear is down, flaps are at 15. Just start bleeding the speed off as we get a little bit closer. Our next altitude is inside 8.7. We can go down to 2,000 feet. So we'll set that altitude. Descent a little bit, get the speed back, get my final flap out here momentarily.
Altitude.
Okay, to go below 2,000 feet to our minimums of 700 feet is 6.5 DME. So I'll keep that 2,000 feet set till we hit 6.5. And now I'll put our land flap. Speed off, closer to our approach speed. So we're inside 6.5. I'm going to put the altitude now down to 700 feet, and that will be our MDA for the approach. And then from there, when we level off, we'll transition to the VASIs for the landing. Slowly bleeding the speed off, and that'll bleed off as we level off here. So 1,000 feet to go. And we have a discontinuity there because it doesn't. We're using the actual nav aid, but if we were using VNav, we'd have to close up the discontinuity because there was a discontinuity between vectors. So that's not going to go away, and I'm not going to try to change that now. So I'd have to select direct to something there to get rid of that. Okay, just coming up to level off. Start adding a little bit of power. Let the speed bleed off.
500.
So a little bit of power. And we'll level off at our MDA here. There's a runway. We'll look for the VASIs. I want to keep the speed up. Speed's good. We're looking for 2 white. There's 1 white.
500.
And I'll just disconnect the autopilot now, and we'll lower the nose, bring the power back, and we'll fly in visually from here. San Diego traffic, it's citation 456 Alpha Zulu is short final, runway 27 San Diego. So speed is good, gear is down, flaps are at approach, or land flap, sorry. Continue bleeding the speed off here, it's getting a little bit fast. Back down to our view here. Powered idle. Speed brake up. And we'll get her stopped here. We're going to make a right turn at the next right. Southwest plane parked ahead of us there. This is part of the scenery pack for San Diego. So clear the runway, just set the parking brake, get the speed brake, flaps up, turn our landing light off, taxi light on, strobe light off, pitot heat off, and we will taxi to park. So we're just going to park at the general aviation, so parking brake off, just up to the left there. San Diego traffic, citation 456 Alpha Zulu is clear of the active San Diego. And we'll just pull up to the left and park the plane. Well, that was a nice quick trip, getting back into the CJ. This is the latest version from Working Title. It seems to be working really well.
Traffic San Diego, Horizon Air 2479 inbound, Cloman from Cloman, joining RMP Zulu runway 27, traffic San Diego.
And have no issues with it.
Traffic American 1027 is not good.
Running pretty good.
Pick up departing south.
I asked if they were going to update the LNAV so that it is more like the NXI LNAV. I'll just park straight ahead on this line. Nice Learjet there. And they said that's going to be coming in a future update. So you got those nice curved, arcing transition segments on the NXI. Well, those will be coming here eventually, I think, hopefully to the CJ as well. Okay, parking brake set. Taxi light off. And flaps are up. And speed brake is down. We can just shut off the engines. Pitot heat is off. Get our emergency lights off. Everything is off there. Engines are winding down. The avionics off. And battery off. There we go. That's it. Easy as pie. Flying the CJ4. It's one of the greater planes right now in the sim. And here's the San Diego scenery. We can have a look outside. Lots of great deals. I think I got this for about $10. Picked up a few different scenery packs, so we should be able to try those out in the future. And then you can see an American Airlines plane taking off there. Cool. Oh, I also downloaded the Simple Traffic from Aerosoft, which adds that traffic so we can see different airline textures. They use the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft for the AI traffic, but they reskin them with the actual airline, like that American Airlines there. So that makes things a little bit more realistic. These this Learjet parked beside us, so that's just the scenery part of the scenery pack here. Okay, well, that was a great trip. Hope you enjoyed it. It was nice to be back in the CJ and a quick little trip today. Too bad the online ATC wasn't working, but that's the way it goes on VATSIM. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Hope you enjoyed today's trip. If you liked it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you like this type of content, you'd like to see more videos like this, or do a lot of the GAA flying in the Diamond and Diamond DA62, and I'm doing a Around the World series and that, so make sure you sign up for, subscribe to the channel, sign up for notifications, and then you'll see those videos as well. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you all had a great holiday if you're in the States, and we'll see you next time on the Bandit Flight Simmer channel. Bandit out.